Thanks, Jamie. Certainly an exciting day for the Edmonton Oilers to acquire Duncan Keith along with Tim Soderlund for Caleb Jones and a third-round draft pick. Obviously, Duncan has been one of the best defensemen of his era. Helping Chicago win 3 Stanley Cups and 2 Norris trophies, a Conn Smythe, and helping Canada win a couple of gold medals at the Olympics. So, I got a call in the last couple of weeks from Stan Bowman and Jerry Johansson, his agent. Stan Bowman gave me permission to talk to Jerry Johansson, Duncan's agent, and I guess Duncan had gone to Stan and for personal reasons wanted to get moved to a team out west, and want to know if we had interest. It's hard to pass up a player that's got as much experience and success as Duncan has, and I think that not only what Duncan will help us on the ice, but he'll be a tremendous leader in the locker room. And I know that he's talked to a lot of people here over the last couple of weeks that know Duncan, and he's got incredible commitment to off-season fitness. So he'll bring a lot of other intangibles to our team besides what he does on ice. So obviously excited today. Legitimate top 4 defenseman, and I know Duncan's very, very excited. I talked to him for a bit earlier after the deal was made, and Coach Tippett talked to him as well, and we both can feel and sense that he's very excited about this new opportunity.
Thank you, Ken. And with that, we'll start with Bob Stauffer of 630 CHED. Go ahead, Bob. Can't hear you, Bob. We'll come back to you. We will go to Jason Greger of TSN 1260.
Ken, the main question a lot of people want is the no retention of salary for Duncan Keith. Can you walk us through that aspect of the deal and how you were comfortable taking on the full salary and not getting any cap retention?
Well, I mean, as Stan Bowman and I talked over the weekend, I think if I was acquired, obviously you can retain up to 50%. If we were getting Duncan Keith at 2.75, the price would have been a lot higher than what it was today. So, I think that certainly Chicago's getting a young defenseman in Caleb Jones that was in and out of our lineup, and was where we were hoping could grow into a regular spot and a third-round draft pick. So they're excited to get Caleb Jones. Where we are in our cycle, when you look at the core of the team, it's trying to win now. It's one or the other. It's either spend more assets and try to get Chicago to retain salary, or to do a deal that we're trading out a left shot defenseman, we're acquiring a left shot defenseman, and we're adding a third round pick to it. So I think these deals they swing back and forth. I think at the end of the day, basically, if we wanted to have a lower salary, we would have to put more assets with our offer.
Okay, and that makes sense. So if you look at what this means for your team, do you pencil in Duncan Keith automatically as kind of like your second pair left defenseman? He's got a 5.5 cap hit, or are you still planning on looking at free agency and guys like there are some second pair left defensemen available, or do you kind of change and look to fill out your third pairing?
Well, I mean, obviously we got Darnell Nurse, who's our number 1 left shot defenseman. I would think that Duncan would be in our second pair. We'll wait to go to training camp. I know that we've got more moves to make. So we'll see. I mean, I've got your another month probably over the next rest of July, free agency, July 28th. And then, we'll see, but I know we need more pieces. I would see Duncan Keith as the second pair defenseman.
Thank you. Back to Bob Stauffer. Still not getting you, Bob. I'm sorry. We'll go to Daniel Nugent-Bowman of The Athletic.
Hi, Ken. How does today's move of bringing in Duncan Keith impact your potential ability to re-sign Adam Larsson?
From a cap standpoint?
Yes, yes, strictly from a financial standpoint, correct, yeah.
I've been in negotiation with Adam. I'd like to re-sign Adam. I've got, money set aside for Adam. Ultimately, it's Adam's decision, whether, when a player's an unrestricted free agent, it's they've earned the right to determine where they want to play and how much they want to play for. So it has no impact because we do have cap space available.
And so, it seems like Duncan Keith, he really wanted to be in this geographic area rather, to be closer to his son. Obviously you seem to really value him as a player and why you acquired him. But was there a case to be made for potentially trying to put the hammer down a little bit more because you were one of only a select couple or few teams that he was even interested in going to?
Well, do you want me to get him for free?
Not for free. No, I just wonder if it was very odd.
You wanted a lesser price? You didn't want Caleb Jones? You don't want the draft pick? You want them to retain 50%? Where you go with which would you like me to do?
I'm just curious.
I'm asking you. You're asking me the question. You're asking me something about me. Did you want me to try to get them to retain money, or did you think I paid too high a price with Caleb Jones and a third-round pick?
Well, the salary, as Jason Gregor brought up earlier, I guess the salary retention is the biggest one, more than anything you gave up. So I guess Daniel, my answer would be, Caleb Jones hasn't yet established himself as an everyday defenseman in the National Hockey League. He was in and out of our lineup. He shared time with Chris Russell and Lagesson and William Lagesson, and then we got Kulikov at the deadline. So I don't think he played a playoff game. So he's still trying to establish himself. So I traded a young defenseman. We've got Broberg. We've got Samorukov. Both are left shot. Probably play left defense. Broberg can play either side. So we're trading a young defenseman away that hasn't yet established, and a third-round draft pick. And as I said to Jason, in my conversations with Stan Bowman, he's trading one of the leaders of his team. Certainly, he's 37 years of age. I'm hoping that in this trade, where I acquired a 37-year-old defenseman in 1999 from Chicago, Chris Chelios, he played 9 years for the Detroit Red Wings. Now it's a different time. I understand that, but certainly Duncan Keith is bringing more to our team, or from a leadership standpoint than a young player. So. I think that we had that conversation a few times over, Stan and I, about the salary, and Stan made it clear that if he wanted us to eat salary, we had to up the assets. At the end of the day, I guess Stan could, your feeling is that. There's a limited team to go to, and I can squeeze somebody. It's hard to squeeze people in this league. You got to do deals that work for both teams. And I think in this case, certainly we took on a cap number, but we were getting a veteran defenseman, a leader,
a guy that's been in many important situations at the Stanley Cup playoff time, at international hockey. He's bringing leadership. Played 23 plus minutes a night last year for Chicago. I think he was their number one defenseman in terms of time on ice. There's a give and a take, and the deal has to work for both teams. So you can sit on the sidelines and analyze the deal. I got to make a deal. I got to try to do something to make our team better. And I believe I made our team better today because we've got a legitimate top four defenseman. I know that he's 37 years of age, but he's motivated, he's excited, and he's bringing in lots of intangibles that it's hard to put a price on. I don't know what they're worth, but I do know the teams that go on playoff runs and that are good. And we just watched recently this past week, and you look at the veteran players and the impact that they have on those teams. I think it's because of their experience, and certainly that's the hope. That's the belief that what Duncan's going to do for the Edmonton Oilers.
Ryan Rashad, TSN.
Thanks, Jamie. Ken, I think, just in listening to Daniel's question and Jason, there's a, the implication that Duncan Keith's value at about $5.5 million, that you guys believe he's a defenseman that can, that is worth that amount of money and will give you that value. What kind of, how much do you dig in on Duncan Keith's game and where he is right here and now? Everybody knows what he's accomplished in the past, but what signs did you see from him that give you confidence he can play as a $5.5 million player on the cap hit, and that his game is still in that space, where that cap hit is?
I looked at the guide and record book.
So, okay, the guide and record book.
Well, what I'm saying, Ryan, is the players that accomplish. My experience is that the players that are, win Norris trophies and they're at a high level for a long time, they appear to be able to to back off Father Time longer than other people. And he played 23 plus minutes a night last year. It's not like he was playing 14 minutes a night. He had the most minutes, I think the most minutes on the Chicago defense. So certainly my hope is that he's going to come to Edmonton. He's going to get excited about the opportunity. And I look at Mike Smith last year at 39 years of age, the impact that he had on our team. You look at the passport, the birth certificate. I got it. I totally understand. I totally understand that, but I think that this isn't an exact science, and I think that he's a winner. He's competitive. He's committed to fitness. He's got experience. He's gonna have a lesser role in Edmonton than he did in Chicago. Obviously, Darnell Nurse is going to take up the matchups against the other team's first line players. So I think in a different role. And when I look at what he's accomplished in his career, that's what I'm saying, the guide and record book. When you look at what he's accomplished in his career, certainly the hope is that he's going to come in and he's going to play real well. Whether I go to the open market, Ryan, at free agency time, there's risks. You have to make decisions. And I believe in the guide and record book that he's played at a high level for a long time. You look and say he's 37 and he's on the decline. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. We're going to go to training camp and we're going to go through a training camp. We're going to play games and the games are going to decide. But I'm banking on that he's been a great player for a long time, that he's going to get excited and his role is going to be reduced. And he's not only what he does on the ice, but certainly his impact in what he's accomplished is going to be respected and have an impact on other players. So it's not only what Duncan does, it's what impact he can have on other players.
Yeah, and that's all fair, Ken. And to be clear, I'm not suggesting that he's not worth it or on the decline. I was just curious about sort of what you're.
No, I mean, that's my answer. I go to the guide and record book. I think that, he's not 50. I mean, he's 37. Is it old?
Right.
Yeah, it's old. But he was a great in his day. He was a great skater. Does he skate as good today as he did at 28? No, he's 37. But even if his skills have diminished some, he's still a good player. And he's like I said, when I get into the conversation with Stan Bowman, if I want to spend more assets, then he would have conversations about reducing, retaining some money. Daniel Nugent Bowman thinks that I could just sit on the sidelines and smoke out Stan Bowman. I don't believe you smoke out people in this. I think that I respect that the other 31 managers are very good at what they do. That's why they got those jobs. And at the end of the day, it's got to be a fair deal. And probably Stan Bowman would like to have gotten more assets. And I'd probably like to have Duncan at a little less cap number. At the end of the day, it's the solution was that what you heard today.
Yeah. You've talked a little bit about analytics in the past and, how involved you are or aren't in them. Was there something in the numbers or the analytics that you find important or value in? And I don't expect you to list them off for me, but was there something in the numbers of this that painted a picture for you that his game was still very much there and that it was still in a good place that way, outside of, whatever time you had to watch him play this year? What do the numbers tell you?
I don't know if this is a numbers decision. What I'm saying, Ryan, is I can't put a price on 3 Stanley Cups, 2 Norris trophies, a Conn Smythe trophy, 2 gold medals, his leadership, what he's meant to the Chicago Blackhawks franchise, how he's played, winning the Conn Smythe trophy in 2015. Is he the same player today? No, he wouldn't be available. So part of this decision is am I aware of the analytics? Yes, analytics aren't as good as they were in his prime, but I'm not asking him to be our number 1 defenseman to play 25 minutes together against the other team's best players. Darnell Nurse is going to do that. So in a lesser role against lesser players, in a new opportunity, playing with a different team, does he get excited? Does the adrenaline pump a little harder because you're excited about the new opportunity? So, I think if you sometimes you have to, am I aware of the analytics? Am I aware of the statistics? Have I talked to my staff? Yes, we've done all that. We've done all that. And, like I said to you, this has gone over 2 weeks. So it's not like, Stan called me on Friday and we did the deal today. Over the last 2 weeks, we have talked about this. I've talked to, I've talked to Dave Tippett. He's talked to Jim Playfair. I've talked to my Pro Scout people. I've talked to the guys that do the analytics. We've looked at the numbers. I've made calls around the league to talk to people that know Duncan. And at the end of the day, after all that information, I'm excited to add Duncan Keith to the Edmonton Oilers.
That's fair. Thanks, Ken.
Yeah.
Jim Matheson, post meeting.
Ken, a couple of things. Did you get a reading from talking to Oscar Klefbom or JP Barry that how long he might be out, and did that have any bearing on you trying to get Duncan Keith right now?
We had a Zoom call earlier this morning, but basically the Zoom call with Oscar is, he's probably, the chances of Oscar Klefbom playing in the National Hockey League in 21, 22 are very, very slim. Now, I've known that
for a while, just because I've been talking to the doctors, and he had surgery. We're only 3 months in. Like, he hasn't done any training for 8 months, since probably September or October, when we got out of the bubble last year. He hasn't done any training that a professional athlete would do. He took time to decide if he wanted to have this shoulder surgery. Then he made a decision to have the shoulder surgery. Dr. Naidu spoke to Dr. Miniachi, who performed the shoulder surgery last week. I asked Dr. Naidu to talk to Dr. Miniachi. And a few days prior to that, there was a Zoom call between Clef and JP Barry, his agent, and Dr. Miniachi. So, Dr. Naidu got all that information. We were on a call today with JP Barry, Oscar Clefbaum, TD Forrest, our athletic trainer, Dr. Naidu, and myself. And basically at the 6-month mark, which would be about the end of September, he's probably at that time going to be green lighted to go into stage 2. And stage 2 is what I call poking around. Like, you go out there, and if he wants to go on the ice, you go out there by yourself and you go at slow speeds, and you do that for a while, and then maybe he'll start to do some training. But the chances that he's going to play professional hockey in the National Hockey League 21-22 are very slim and remote. But again, it's not like I found that news out this morning and I made the deal this afternoon. I've known that for a while because I've been in communication with JP Barry, who represents Adam Larson and Oscar Clefbaum. So I've been talking a lot to JP about Adam. And we'd also, every couple of calls talk about Oscar. So I know that it's in talking to Dr. Dr. Naidu. I don't even know if he can put his arm fully over his shoulder yet. So I don't expect to see Clef playing for the Oilers this year.
And getting back to Adam Larson, obviously you're protecting Duncan Keith because you just traded for him. Are you close enough with Adam Larson that you see him maybe playing with Duncan Keith, and that after the expansion draft there's a pretty good chance that you can sign Larson? I know that Seattle can talk to him for 3 days or whatever it is, but are you pretty confident that you can get Larson signed?
No, I'm not pretty confident, but I'm not confident. I've talked lots to JP Barry, and last week, Dave Tippett, myself, got on a call with JP and Adam and his Swedish agent Peter Werner, and told him that we want him back, how important he is to the team, and I also kind of tipped him off that I was having some conversations with Stan Bowman, and there was a possibility that today would happen. And certainly, I think Tip said to Adam, if the deal goes through, he certainly saw Adam and Duncan Keith being a good second pair for us. He is obviously an unrestricted free agent, and Adam has to make a decision as to what he feels is best for he and himself and his career. So, if I was confident, we probably would have been done by now. Because I've been talking to Adam or JP Barry since probably February or March. So, I don't, so we'll see.
Stephen Wino, Associated Press.
Hey, Ken, you mentioned about obviously talking to Larson and all that, but what do you envision as the next few days and weeks for you guys as an organization? And how much chatter is there around the league about trades right now, given how quickly everything can happen with the Seattle expansion draft coming up?
Well, I think for my sense is right now, unless you're probably talking to Ron Francis, there's not a lot of chatter. It's teams that want to kind of might be in a difficult spot, or maybe trying to figure out ways to do a deal with with Seattle. There is a little, I have some conversation going with some teams that once the expansion draft is over, I think I expect things would heat up. They make their selections on a Wednesday and the draft is Friday, Saturday. So if there's going to be some action, it would probably be that Thursday, Friday, Saturday through the draft weekend. What do I see with the Edmonton Oilers? We've got some space still, and we've got some needs. So I've got to see if I can use the cap space to fill some needs.
Final question to Jack Michaels of 630 Chet.
Ken, you were talking earlier about everything that Duncan brings, and you also used some examples. Chris Chelios, Mike Smith, obviously the Penguin teams bringing in guys like Billy Guerin and Gary Roberts. Does that all add up to focusing on the positives of this deal rather than getting caught up in the cap number from your perspective? Looking at the asset rather than, the perceived liability of a higher cap number than in a perfect world.
Well, the cap number is a liability if he doesn't, it's all based upon how players play and how the team plays. Right now everybody's speculating. I mean, nobody knows. I think at the end of the day, Ryan Rishaug asked me, nobody knows. I mean, they just happen to have this little thing here. I mean, nobody can look into these things and read the future. Certainly analytics is supposed to give you a guide. The statistics are supposed to give you a guide, but nobody can read the future. Nobody knows how how players react. For me, it's about bringing in a top four defenseman. I think at this stage of his career, he's a second pair defenseman. We've got a left shot defenseman, Darnell Nurse, that's 26 years of age in the prime of his career. That and Darnell is a minute muncher. So if we put Duncan in the right situation, like most players, we give the players an opportunity to be successful. I mean, Duncan in his prime was playing top minutes against the other team's best players, and on a dynasty team, the team that won 3 Stanley Cups in about 5 or 6 years. So I guess at the end of the day, Jack, anybody can look at this one they want. They can look at the cap number, they can look at the player, they can look at the age. That's the beauty of professional sports. And I made the deal. I've given you all the reasons why I made the deal today. I made the deal today because he's been a great player, one of the greatest defensemen of his era. I know he's 37 years of age, but he can still skate. He's committed to training, and he's going to bring intangibles. It's not only what he can do for our team. I think that it's important to have some veteran people in that locker room that have had accomplishments, and that some of the younger players can lean on and look to for leadership.
With all these things, then, Ken, is it easy to summarize by saying, hey, this is the job. This is what I get paid for. I have to make a tough decision. And at the end of the day, I have to trust myself. Is that really the Coles Notes summary of this deal? And most of the decisions you make, for that matter.
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Right, Jack. I think obviously that's what I said. This has been 2 weeks in the making. I've talked to Stan Bowman a few times. We went back and forth. I've talked to my coach. My coach talked to Jim Playfair. They've talked to the coaches, through Tips talked to his coaches. Tips come back to me. We've explored options. We've looked at analytics. I had Justin Maughy give me all the analytics. Obviously we've looked at statistics. We've called people around the league that
played, that have some relationship with Duncan Keith. And ultimately, I made the decision that I think Duncan Keith's going to be a great addition to this hockey team.